Everyone at the Thanksgiving table got a gift, except me. They laughed. Even my husband. But what they didn't know was that I came prepared at Thanksgiving dinner. Everyone at my husband's family table unwrapped their gifts with excitement and laughter. Everyone. Except me. As the colorful ribbons were torn open and paper crinkled around the room, I sat in silence. No gift sat in front of me. No one made a move to hand me anything. I looked around. My eyes landing on my mother-in-law. She grinned. Not kindly. "Oh, Lena. We must have just forgotten about you." Laughter erupted from her side of the table. My sisters-in-law chuckled, exchanging amused glances. And the worst part? My husband, Jacob, laughed right along with them. I bit back the sting. I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because I wasn't going to let them win. I leaned forward. My voice calm. "Cool. That's okay," I said. "I didn't forget about you." The laughter died, fading into awkward silence. Their hands froze mid-air. My words hung heavy. And that was just the beginning. 6 years of silence. Jacob has always been close to his family. And by family, I mean his mother and his 2 sisters, Monica and Laura. The 3 of them? They're a tight-knit little trio. Untouchable. Closed off. Like a club with a membership I never qualified for. I've been married to Jacob for 7 years. 7 long years. And in all that time, I've never truly been accepted. I wasn't just left out, I was made to feel like a stranger in my own marriage. At first, it was subtle. Harmless. If you squinted hard enough. They'd plan vacations and conveniently forget to tell me. I'd find out only after the plane had taken off. At family dinners, they'd sit around reminiscing about memories I wasn't part of, stories from before I met Jacob, making sure I had nothing to say. No way in. But the worst offender was always his mother. Evelyn. Evelyn had a talent for smiling while twisting the knife. She could cut you down without ever raising her voice. Her words sugar-coated with poison. And if I ever dared to speak up, she'd blink at me with that confused expression. As if I was imagining things. Monica and Laura followed her lead like clockwork, always chiming in with sly remarks. Always ready with a passive-aggressive compliment. Jacob? He did nothing. Not once. He never defended me. Never spoke up. If I mentioned it afterward, he'd just chuckle and tell me I was being too sensitive. That's just how they are, he'd say. Like that excused everything. And me? I stayed quiet. I swallowed it all because I loved him. Because I believed love meant choosing your battles. Because I thought, somehow, things would get better. I told myself every Thanksgiving, this year will be different. But I was wrong. The beautiful cage. Thanksgiving was always held at Evelyn's house. It was her favorite holiday, mostly because it gave her an excuse to show off. Her massive, immaculately decorated home in upstate Connecticut looked like something out of a lifestyle magazine. Wreaths on every door. Gold-trimmed place cards. Cinnamon candles flickering on the mantel. It was all perfectly staged. She'd spend weeks gushing about her handmade centerpieces and famous cranberry stuffing. It wasn't dinner, it was a production. As we pulled into the driveway that afternoon, I told myself, again, this year will be different. I wanted so badly to believe it. To believe that maybe this time, they'd see me. Include me. The moment we stepped inside, I knew I was wrong. The smell of turkey and nutmeg hit me like a wave. And so did that old, familiar feeling, you don't belong here. Monica and Laura rushed to Jacob, wrapping their arms around him like long-lost siblings. Then they turned to me with those tight, polite smiles. The kind that say, "We see you, but we wish we didn't." Evelyn barely even looked at me. She gave Jacob a kiss on the cheek, then walked off to fuss over the food. He didn't notice. He never did. Dinner was fine, at least on the surface. The table was filled with clinking glasses and polite laughter. But beneath that, I sat and listened while Evelyn praised Monica's big promotion and Laura's brand new house, gushing over their accomplishments like a proud queen admiring her heirs. Me? I may as well have been a ghost. I smiled when expected. I nodded on cue. And I swallowed it all, every little dig. Every subtle exclusion. I refused to let them see it hurt. But I felt it. Every word they didn't say. Every glance they didn't send my way. And still, I stayed quiet. I always stayed quiet until dessert, the gift that changed everything. Right before dessert, Evelyn stood up and clapped her hands with the kind of flair only she could pull off. "Before we dig into pie," she said, "we've got a little Thanksgiving surprise." This was her tradition. Every year, Evelyn staged what she called a gift exchange, though really, it was just her handing out presents while basking in the praise. She loved the attention, the performance of being the generous matriarch. It made her feel powerful. One by one, she handed out her carefully wrapped offerings: a designer handbag for Monica, a luxury spa certificate for Laura, a bottle of limited edition scotch for Jacob. Even the grandkids got toys that probably cost more than my monthly rent when I was in college. Everyone received something. Everyone. Except me. Evelyn turned toward me with that smug smile plastered across her face. "Oh, Lena," she said, as if she just remembered my existence. "We must have forgotten about you." She laughed. Monica laughed. Laura laughed. And Jacob, he laughed too. That moment, it shattered something inside me. 6 years of silence. 6 years of being overlooked, dismissed, ignored, of smiling through their snide remarks, waiting for someone, anyone, to stand up for me. And instead, my husband laughed. But I didn't cry. I didn't flinch. I simply smiled. "That's okay," I said softly. "I didn't forget about you." The room went quiet. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small box, neatly wrapped, carefully prepared. I held it out to Evelyn. She hesitated, her hand hovering midair. That smile, the one she wore like armor, began to slip. "Go ahead," I said, still smiling. "Open it." Her fingers trembled slightly as she untied the ribbon and peeled back the wrapping paper. Inside the box was a thick stack of documents, clean, crisp, neatly organized. She lifted them out. Her eyes flicked over the first page. And then, her face drained of color. She flipped to the next page. Then the next. Her fingers shook. Monica leaned in. So did Laura. Their eyes scanned the pages over Evelyn's shoulder. And then it hit them. They realized what it was, and what I had done. Secrets wrapped in silence. The room was still. Silent in a way that felt dangerous. Like the calm just before a lightning strike. Evelyn's eyes darted over the papers. Her mouth opened slightly. But no sound came out. She looked stunned, like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. Monica's brow furrowed. Laura leaned closer. Then I saw it, that exact second the horror set in. Their smugness vanished, replaced with confusion, then disbelief. What they were holding wasn't just some petty document or prank. It was a mirror, one that reflected all of Evelyn's deepest secrets. You see, for the last few months, I'd been quietly looking into Evelyn's beloved catering company. And what I found, it wasn't just shady. It was criminal. She'd been underreporting income for years, hiding funds, falsifying losses that never happened, avoiding taxes with a paper trail so obvious. It was almost insulting. And I had the receipts. Every single one. Detailed, dated, documented, all ready to go to the IRS. Evelyn looked up at me then, her face pale, her lips trembling. "Where did you get this?" she whispered. I raised my glass of wine and took a slow sip. "Oh, I just had a little time on my hands, while you were too busy forgetting me." Her husband, Walter, snatched the documents from her hands. His face turned beet red as he flipped through the pages. "Evelyn, what the hell is this?" Monica and Laura leaned in closer now, their confusion turning to fear. "Mom?" Laura's voice cracked. "Is this real?" Evelyn didn't answer. She couldn't. Because she knew what it was. She knew exactly what she had done. She wasn't just at risk of losing her business. She was at risk of losing everything. And Jacob? My loving husband who had laughed just minutes ago? He stared at me like he didn't know who I was. He wasn't laughing anymore. No one was. And I was just getting started. The moment she realized she lost, Evelyn clutched the papers like they might burst into flames in her hands. Her fingers twitched. Her lips moved. But nothing came out. The room was still heavy, thick with disbelief. Monica and Laura were reading faster now, flipping through the pages like they were racing to catch up with reality. And then, like a bomb going off in slow motion, Evelyn snapped. "You little BTCH, she hissed, her voice sharp and shaking. "You don't know what you've done." I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I simply tilted my head and replied, "Oh, I think I do. She spun toward Jacob. Her voice pitched higher, desperate now. Are you just going to sit there? Say something. Jacob blinked, like he was coming out of a fog. His eyes flicked from me to the documents, then back again. And finally, he spoke. But not to her, to me. Why would you do this? Not to her, to me. As if I was the one who had crossed the line. Something inside me cracked. No. Not cracked. Snapped. All the years I had swallowed my voice. All the times I smiled through humiliation. It all surged up at once. Evelyn's expression shifted the second she saw Jacob turn on me. A wicked little grin tugged at the corners of her mouth. Like she thought she'd won. She slammed the papers down. This is fake, she snapped. You made this up. Monica didn't look convinced. Her eyes hadn't left the numbers. Mom. This looks real. Laura's voice was flat as she turned the last page. These are government forms. These are tax documents. No. Evelyn barked. It's a setup. She set me up. I let out a slow breath, leaned forward, and said softly, no. Sweetheart. You set yourself up. Her hands curled into fists, trembling with rage. Did you think I wasn't paying attention all these years? I said, my voice low, steady. Did you really think I didn't notice how you treated me? How you laughed at me? How you erased me? Evelyn gasped, like I'd slapped her. Monica suddenly looked nauseous. Laura wouldn't meet my eyes. And Jacob. Jacob shifted in his seat like he wanted to disappear. I looked straight at Evelyn. You've been committing tax fraud for years, I said coldly. Sloppy fraud. And then, for the first time that night, Walter, her husband, finally spoke. How much trouble is she in? I turned to him slowly. If she acts fast, maybe just fines. But if the IRS decides to dig deeper, I let the words hang. I didn't have to finish the sentence. Everyone understood what I meant. Evelyn's face turned a ghostly white. Walter rubbed his forehead with a shaky hand. Jesus Christ. Evelyn. Jacob still sat frozen, staring at the floor like he was trying to will the whole night away. Mom. He finally whispered. What did you do? Evelyn exploded. She's ungrateful, she shouted, pointing at me like I was the problem. I let her into this family, I fed her, I laughed. Loud. Sharp. Real. Fed me? I repeated. You forgot about me tonight. Just like you've been doing for 7 years. And she had no response, because she knew it was true. When the daughters turned, the air in the room had changed. It wasn't just shock anymore. It was suspicion. And then, Monica's voice cut through the silence. How did you even know to look into this? She asked, staring directly at me. I paused. Laura narrowed her eyes. Yeah. No one just randomly digs into someone's taxes. You had to be looking for something. That's when I felt it. A cold shift in my stomach. Because they were right. I hadn't started digging just because of the petty insults or the years of passive aggression. I'd started because something didn't add up. Something I wasn't even supposed to know about. Evelyn hadn't just been lying to the government. She was hiding money. And not just from the IRS. She was hiding it from them, too. I watched as Monica flipped back through the documents, scanning faster now. Wait. Why do some of these deposits say personal expense? Laura frowned. Why are there withdrawals from Dad's account? Everything changed in that moment. Evelyn froze. Walter looked up, his expression darkening. What are they talking about? No one answered. But the room was suddenly alive, pages flipping, whispered phrases turning into sharp, angry questions. Monica was already furious. You told me you couldn't help with my mortgage. Laura's face twisted. You said you didn't have a dime when I lost my job. Evelyn's forehead glistened. Her hand twitched as Walter snatched the stack of papers from Monica's hands and flipped through them himself. His eyes widened as realization crashed into him like a wave. Evelyn, he said slowly. Answer them. She didn't. Because she couldn't. Because the truth was already out, bleeding all over the perfect white tablecloth she'd spent so much time ironing. She hadn't just committed tax fraud. She had stolen, from her own family, from her daughters, from her husband. And the worst part? She thought they'd never find out. The fallout no one saw coming. Monica stared at the documents like they were written in a foreign language. She looked stunned, disgusted, and heartbroken, all at once. You lied to us, she said, barely above a whisper. You said there was no money. Laura's voice was shaking. All those years I was struggling. And you had this?" Evelyn still hadn't said a word. Her mouth was slightly open. Her eyes darting from one face to the next. Desperate for an escape. But there wasn't one. And that's when Walter saw it. He flipped to the final page. Went still. And then, his whole body stiffened. He stared at Evelyn like she was a stranger. You drained my retirement account." The room fell completely silent. Monica gasped. Laura clutched her stomach like she was about to be sick. Jacob looked up. His eyes wide. "What?" Evelyn's entire face contorted. Caught somewhere between guilt and defiance. "I did what I had to do," she snapped. Her voice sharp with panic. Walter's face turned red. Then pale. His hands shook as he stared at the numbers in disbelief. "I worked my whole life for that money," he said. His voice breaking. "That was our future. Evelyn." She stepped toward him. Frantic. "I was going to fix it. I just needed time." But no one was buying it anymore. Monica backed away. "You stole from us, Mom." Laura was pale as a sheet. "And you lied about it for years." Evelyn looked to Jacob, her last hope. But Jacob's face was unreadable. Cold. He looked more confused than angry. Like his entire childhood had just been rewritten in front of him. Then Monica dropped the final blow. "We're done," she said flatly. "You're cut off." Laura didn't even hesitate. "Same." Evelyn's head snapped toward them. "You can't do that." Monica stepped forward. "Watch us." And then, it happened. Walter staggered. His face twisted in pain as he gripped his chest and gasped. "Richard." Evelyn screamed. I was already reaching for my phone. "Call 911. Laura shouted. Monica knelt beside her father. Shaking. "Dad? Dad. Stay with us." Evelyn hovered behind him. Crying, screaming even, but she wasn't touching him. She didn't hold his hand. She didn't stroke his hair. She just performed. Like she always did. Jacob was the one holding his father's hand. Whispering. "Please. Stay with me. Please. Dad." And I stood there. Watching it all fall apart. Everything Evelyn had spent her life building, every illusion of control, every lie, every smug little smile, was crumbling. And she knew this wasn't just a scandal. It was the end. The waiting room and the truth that followed. The ambulance lights blurred against the dark sky as we pulled into the hospital. None of us spoke during the drive. Not one word. I rode with Jacob. He sat beside me. His body tense. Staring straight ahead. He didn't look at me when we parked. Not when we walked through the automatic doors. Not even when we took our seats in the sterile, flickering waiting room. He was somewhere else, trapped in the echo of what just happened. What his mother had done. Evelyn sat stiffly in one of the plastic chairs across from us, dabbing her eyes with a tissue she hadn't cried into. Her cheeks were dry. Her hands too still. She looked like a woman trying to decide which version of the truth she could sell next. "Sharon, no." Monica finally broke the silence. "Mom," she said. Her voice was sharp. Quiet. But heavy. "What the hell were you thinking?" Evelyn didn't answer. She just blinked at the wall like she couldn't hear. "You stole from Dad," Monica continued. "From us." Laura leaned forward. Voice like glass. "And you lied. For years." Evelyn's mouth twitched. And then, slowly, like she'd rehearsed it, she turned to Jacob. "Michael," she said softly. Voice full of fake sorrow. "Sweetheart. You don't believe I meant to hurt anyone, do you?" Jacob flinched like she touched an exposed nerve. His jaw tightened. But he didn't say a word. Then he turned to me. Not her. Me. And what came out of his mouth? It hit harder than anything Evelyn had ever said. "Was this your plan?" he asked. Voice low. "All along? Is this the revenge you wanted? Destroying my family?" My stomach dropped. Hard. He wasn't angry at her. Not really. He was looking at me like I'd set the fire. Not the woman who had stolen from her own husband. Not the one who laughed while I was humiliated at her dinner table. Me. And Evelyn, God. She saw it. Her shoulders loosened. A slow, satisfied smile touched her lips like she'd just won something. She leaned toward Jacob. Her voice like silk. "You've always been the only one who really understood me." And he let her. Right there in that ugly waiting room. After everything. He still chose her. That was the moment I felt it. Nothing. Not heartbreak. Not sadness. Just nothing. I stood up. Slow. Calm. Evelyn's eyes flicked to me. that little smirk still playing on her lips. She thought she'd won. I exhaled. Then I laughed. Not a fake laugh. Not polite. Real, deep, sharp. Evelyn's smile faltered. "What's so funny?" she asked. "You," I said. "You're funny." Jacob reached for my wrist. "Just stop. Okay?" I pulled away, and then I let it all out. "No. Jacob, you stop." Everyone froze. I turned to Evelyn first. "For 6 years. You treated me like garbage. You excluded me. You humiliated me. You made damn sure I never felt like part of this family. And the second I fight back, I'm the villain." She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. I turned to Jacob. "And you let it happen. Every single time." His face hardened. "It's not that simple." "It is," I snapped. "Your mother stole from your father, lied to your sisters, crushed the people closest to her, and you're still defending her." I pulled off my wedding ring. My hands didn't shake. I dropped it into his hand. He looked at it like it was a foreign object. "What are you doing?" "I'm leaving." Evelyn inhaled sharply. "Oh. Don't be dramatic." I laughed again. "Dramatic? Evelyn. I just burned your life to the ground in under an hour." Her face twisted. "Monica didn't stop me. Neither did Laura." And when Walter finally woke up, when the truth reached him fully, he filed for divorce. Evelyn lost everything. "And Jacob?" "He tried calling me weeks later. Said he finally understood." I didn't answer because I wasn't waiting for him to choose me anymore. I had already chosen myself. Choosing myself. It's strange. The silence that comes after chaos. No shouting. No slamming doors. No bitter comments whispered under someone's breath. Just stillness. Peace. I used to think love meant patience, tolerance, endurance. That if I waited long enough, if I tried hard enough, someone would see me, really see me. But all I ever did was disappear a little more every year. And now I understand that love isn't supposed to make you feel invisible. It's not supposed to make you beg for a seat at the table. It's not supposed to leave you alone in a room full of people who claim to be family. They forgot me because they chose to. But I remembered them. And when I finally stood up, when I finally made noise, they couldn't handle it. The woman they dismissed, ignored, and laughed at, she was the one who brought it all down. Do I regret it? No, not for a second. Because the truth is, I didn't destroy their family. I just exposed what was already rotting beneath the surface. I didn't make Evelyn steal. I didn't make Jacob stay silent. I didn't write the lies. I just stopped pretending I didn't see them. And when everything burned, I walked away from the ashes. No tears, no apologies, no looking back. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't waiting to be chosen. I had already chosen me. Final words, a quiet goodbye. I never went back to that house. Not for Christmas, not for birthdays, not for apologies that came too late, or never came at all. And Jacob? He kept trying. A text here, a voicemail there. "I get it now," he said once. "I should have protected you." But understanding after the damage is done isn't redemption. It's regret. And regret isn't love. It's just the echo of everything that could have been. I didn't respond. Not because I was bitter, but because I was finally free. Free from the need to be accepted by people who only valued me when I stayed quiet. Free from a husband who only saw my worth when it was too late. Free from a family that never really wanted me, only tolerated me as long as I stayed small. They thought forgetting me was harmless, but they never once asked what would happen if I remembered. I remembered everything, and then I remembered who I was. And that was the beginning, not of revenge, not of destruction, but of me finally coming home to myself. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.